We're here for the Board of Control meeting. We're on a Tuesday today. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning. Calling the roll for the Tuesday, October 12th Board of Control meeting. It is 11:03. Nan Baker. Here. Dale Miller. Here. Jim Boyle serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones. Present. Melanie Say serving as an alternate for Mike Dever. Here. Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Ermin Budish.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the fiscal officer.
Here.
Catherine Tkachuk.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the minutes from October 4th. I'm going to make a motion to approve those minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lee Tucker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Moving on to the first new item, please.
Okay, first item BC 2021-559, Department of Public Works, recommending an award on requisition 7010 and enter into a contract with the John F. Gallagher Plumbing Company in the amount not to exceed $188,104 for the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Building Boiler Replacement Project.
Good morning, Matt Reimer with the Department of Public Works. This is a small project out at the Medical Examiner facility to replace two failed natural gas-fired boilers that service floors 2 and 3 of that facility. We went out on formal bids. 6 bids were received. This is the lowest of those 6 bids received and the best proposal as well. John F. Gallagher has performed other work of this nature in the county, most recently at the Board of Elections boiler replacement project, and we look forward to starting this project to try and get it done before the dead of the winter temperatures here.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-560, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Infor Public Sector Incorporated for information technology services and solutions for the Enterprise Resource Planning System for the period October 27th, 2016 through February 11th, 2022, to extend the time period to February 28th, 2022, to modify the scope of services, to document staffing changes and revise milestone payment structure for payroll and workforce management modules, effective October 12th, 2021. No additional funds required.
Thank you. This is Jack Ryan, Department of IT. This is the modification of a previous Infor change order number 64. It's a $0 change order. This was precipitated primarily because Infor lost some key staff in the April through August timeframe. And we renegotiated the change order 64 that covered those staff to change the mix of consultants to focus on exactly the tasks that we needed to have completed for the payroll and WFM implementation and its technical support. We've adjusted the payment schedule to reflect the actual staffing requirements, and the schedule reflects that which was recently briefed to the Council Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Are there questions from the board on this item? Councilman Miller, please.
Not a question, just a comment. I would just like to thank you, Jack, for all your service during the time that you were the lead person on the ERP implementation. As we all know, the ERP is certainly not a sprint race, and it's also not a marathon. It's more like a relay. And I know that when you took over, that things were not really well organized. We didn't even have a good overall implementation program, and we've made progress. And I just want to say that I appreciate your efforts.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
yes, please.
Yes, I'm glad to have the opportunity to say thank you for all of the work. We've worked well together and had a lot of questions along the way, and appreciate your hard work. And I know a lot of hours went into ERP when you were there and trying to get things done. So thank you for all that you've done. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your kind words. Appreciate it. And we've been blessed with a terrific team here at this point, so leaving it in good hands as well.
Any further
questions?
questions on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2021-561, Department of Information Technology, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to MNJ Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $7,992.50 for a state contract purchase of 5 additional HP EliteBook notebooks and related accessories for the Department of Development, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Dennis Sullivan with Department of IT. As Sharon just read, this is an exemption. This is off a state term contract with MNJ, and it is on behalf of the Department of Development. And to be honest with you, agenda item number 561 and both 562 are both off a state term contract, and they're for hardware that's specific to different agencies. 61 is Department of Development, 62 is for Board of Revisions. All the hardware being purchased was approved by the TAC committee and is IT standards.
Thank you, Dennis. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-562, Department of Information Technology, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to MNJ Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $14,386.50 for a state contract purchase of 9 additional HP EliteBook notebooks and related accessories for the Board of Revision, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Again, this is the purchase for the Board of Revisions, the same standards, TAC approved state contract purchase.
Okay, thanks again, Dennis. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2021-563, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Reaching Above Hopelessness and Brokenness Ministries Incorporated, doing business as Rahab Ministries, for trauma-informed mentoring services for youth assigned to the Safe Harbor docket for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $93,377.52.
Good morning, Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is a contract amendment for our contract with Rahab Ministries. They currently provide our trauma-informed mentoring services to the youth that are on our Safe Harbor docket. This is currently funded through our Reclaim grant.
Thank you, Sarah. Are there questions from the board on this item?
If I,
Mr. Boyle, please.
I'm unfamiliar with the Safe Harbor docket. What, can you, just briefly?
So this is a specialized docket that we have. We have a jurist that hears these specific cases, and these are youth that have been considered victims of human trafficking.
Okay.
Any further questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-564, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Ohio Guidestone for trauma-informed mentoring services to the Promise Team youth population for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $40,000.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is a contract amendment with Ohio Guidestone, who provides trauma-informed mentoring to our Promise Team youth. These are female youth that are at risk of either being placed in a residential facility or in an ODYS placement. We've noticed that we had a slight uptick in girls that were being committed to ODYS, so we were trying to find various community services, community-based services that we could implement so that we could try to keep these girls within the community. This is also funded by our Reclaim grant.
Thank you again. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none?
Briefly,
Please, please.
You had two bids on it. I assume that this was the lowest best bid?
Correct.
Proposals, I should say.
Okay. Any additional comments? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-565, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Ohio Guidestone for educational and vocational support services to the Promise Team youth population for the period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $89,200.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is our amendment with Ohio Guidestone for education and vocational support services to the Promise Team youth, which is the same population we just discussed in the prior item. They will be providing tutoring, credit recovery, vocational training to these same girls that are looking for community-based services. This program is being funded through our competitive Reclaim grant, which is a subset of Reclaim.
Thank you. Questions on this item from the board? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-566, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Case Western Reserve University on behalf of the Begun Center for Violence Prevention, Mandel School of Applied Sciences, for evaluation services of the Juvenile Drug Treatment Court Program for the period October 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2021, to extend the time period to September 30th, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $20,000.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is an amendment to our contract with Case Western for our evaluation services contract for our juvenile drug court program. This is for part of our OJJDP grant. We've got another year extension, so this evaluation will follow that year extension.
Thank you, Sarah. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-567, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Applewood Centers Incorporated for clinical case management services for the Community-Based Intervention Center for the period February 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $93,333.24.
Sarah Baker, Juvenile Court. This amendment is with Applewood Centers, who provides a case manager that's specifically located within our community-based intervention center. So this case manager will be working alongside court staff to facilitate any sort of group sessions with the kids that are involved in this program. They can also provide any community linkage that the kids may need, job prep, educational linkage, vocational services. If the families need any guidance trying to find family services or anything like that, they can facilitate that as well.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board on this item?
Yes, where is the Community-Based Intervention Center located and what kind of facility is it?
It's currently located in our Metzenbaum building on Community College Boulevard. So it's one of our satellite offices, and it's access the kids are able to come either all day or they're able to come for an after-school portion.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-568, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Project Lift Services to provide 10 race, equity, and inclusion training sessions for court staff for the period March 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $5,000.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is an amendment to our Project Lift contract. They will be providing race, equity, and inclusion training sessions to all of court staff. We've already kind of set up the initial consultations with them. They've come to the court and met with some of the managers and upper court administration to try to figure out, kind of tackle how they're going to meet with each department and each level of management to get those trainings started.
Okay, Sarah, thank you again. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-569, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, recommending an award on requisition 5010 and enter into a contract with Ohio Guidestone in the amount not to exceed $200,000 for educational and vocational support services for court-referred youth for the period August 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022.
Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This amendment is with Ohio Guidestone for vocational and educational support services. However, this contract serves probation youth. So the referrals are coming out of our probation department. And this is funded through our traditional reclaim program.
Thank you, Sarah. Questions from the board? Councilwoman Baker, please.
Just curious, and I know this one begins in August. Is there a reason why most of these, if not all of these reclaim grants are over 3 months late? Is it just they came in late, or?
So with our reclaim grant, it's on a state fiscal year. So we don't typically get our allocation until after the fact.
Okay.
So sometime in July, we'll get what our allocation's going to be. And then we work with OBM and we work on getting the allocation set up, and we put it through a fiscal agenda so that we can get our appropriations put into place. And the reclaim plan also has to be approved through the Board of Control as well. So by the time all those tasks get completed and we have money available and appropriation available to put the contracts through, it's,
Right.
a couple months down the road.
Will this end the contract then at the end of, I think most of these are ending
They all
June
typically,
30th, 2022. Will that be the final for that contract?
it could be, we always have them, or we typically have them end June 30th of the following year. And then based upon the level of funding that we get, because part of reclaim is our variable reclaim, so we don't know what that's gonna be until next year.
Okay.
So either we may not have enough funding to fund some of these programs, or we may have to look and see if our operating budget can sustain some of these. So we keep them kind of on a shorter time period.
All right.
Or sometimes what we'll do is a 2-year, especially the ones that we do an RFP for, and then if the funding's not available, we'll terminate the contract, and the vendors are aware that we may not have the funding to have the contract continue.
Okay. Thank you.
The nature of the process, so, yeah. Any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2021-570, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, requesting authority to apply for grant funds from the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Office of Criminal Justice Services, in the amount of $22,683.56 for management of the fiscal year 2021 Stop Violence Against Women Act Administrative Grant Program for the period January 1st, 2022 through March 31st, 2023.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. This is our annual administrative grant that we receive for administering the VAWA program. It actually reimburses us for a portion of 2 staff positions who spend time working on this grant. There is a local match of $5,670.89, and that is regularly included in our budget.
Okay, thank you, Mary Beth. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2021-571, Sheriff's Department, recommending an award and enter into an agreement with Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office in the amount of $12,333 for reimbursement for the purchase of 46 Chromebook laptops used for video visitations at the Cuyahoga County Correction Center.
Hello, this is Laura Sims from the Sheriff's Department. This was an approved project under the CARES Act that went through that whole process last year. And this agreement is to finalize the payment for the Chromebook project. The prosecutor's office paid for the laptops. In order for us to reimburse them, we had to since they're not under the executive agency, we had to set up an agreement so that we can do the invoicing and get the CARES Act to pay for that. This is one of the final things left that needs to get processed in order to help close that grant out.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Questions from the board on this item? Mr. Boyle?
Thanks. So this is to allow the visitation in the county jail, correct?
Right, the video visitation.
Video visitation. And the prosecutor's office is paying for this, or is?
No. So they paid for it originally,
Right.
like when that came out, and that and it was an approved CARES Act project.
Right.
And so this is to reimburse them for the laptops that they purchased for this project, because they did the procurement, not the sheriff's office.
Why did they do it?
That's a good question. That was not a decision that I was made, as far as I understand. That was something that was made with the executive's office and with Chief Curry.
The reason that I'm not necessarily troubled by it, but, I mean, the prosecutors, these are largely individuals that are awaiting trial to be tried by the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. And it seems disingenuous and on a certain level troublesome to me that a party to the litigation is buying Chromebooks to foster that. I mean, I assume that they record these conversations as well. I may not be wrong about that, but nonetheless, I mean, it is something that I think moving forward should be something that the purchasing agent certainly should be cognizant of.
Correct. As far as the recording of that, I don't know exactly how that works, but I know that if they're speaking to an attorney, that's
It's a
privileged.
different conversation.
Exactly.
I know they record the phone calls, and again, there's nothing improper about it.
Sure.
Um,
So, and I understand where you're coming from, and I think the reason that it happened at that time was due to, like, this was back when COVID just hit last March or April, and I think that they had a way to get these quicker than we were able to.
Yeah, so Laura, let me,
In order
because I
to be
was,
able to, yeah, okay.
so I think what was happening again was they had funds in the discretionary funds. Again, as you remember, everything, we're trying to transition to keeping people out. So that was where the funding was, and so it was always in, I don't believe the intention was for them to continue to do it. It was just that was where the funds were available at the time. And so then this was, I think they even were purchased prior to us having the full CARES Act allocation. We identified any purchases that were made in the beginning of COVID and said that which ones would be CARES eligible, and these would be one that were, and that's why we're just trying to.
I certainly don't infer anything sinister in the motives here. I mean, I obviously, but I would caution that sometimes the path of least resistance is not always the best one to go.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank
Next
you.
item, BC 2021-572, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, submitting an amendment to an agreement with University of Maryland, Baltimore, on behalf of the School of Social Work Institute for Innovation and Implementation to develop, integrate, and sustain best practices and programs to improve the well-being, stability, and permanency of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, and two-spirit children and youth in foster care for the period September 30th, 2017 through September 29th, 2021, for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $54,888.
Good morning. Paul Porter, Health and Human Services on behalf of the Division of Children and Family Services. This is an additional grant amount from the University of Maryland, Baltimore, as part of their LGBT grant program that we've been recipients of since September of 2017. We identified an additional need for funding as we transition this contract from a standalone under the grant to our Family-Centered Supportive Services Master Agreement, which will be coming before County Council for a January 1 start date. Maryland was able to grant additional funds in the amount of $54,888 in order to enable our vendor Connect to continue delivering services through December of this year. We do anticipate bringing an amendment to our agreement with Connect before this body, but we did have to secure the additional grant funds from the university first. So even though the grant itself has an end date of September 29th, we're authorized to use those funds in support of the existing contract.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, then I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2021-573, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, recommending an award and enter into a contract with the Taylor Reach Group Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $40,700 for remote management training for 70 call center supervisors for the period October 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021.
Good morning. Paul Porter, Health and Human Services on behalf of Cuyahoga Job and Family Services. This is a contract based on an informal RFQ that my team completed in order to allow for training of supervisors within Cuyahoga Job and Family Services who are currently supervising remote staff. CJFS staff have stayed remote, at least the call center staff, under a grant from the Food and Nutrition Services, the fiscal year 2020 Process and Technology Improvement Grant, which is funding that's dedicated to improving the application process for SNAP. I will note that, since we switched to remote work under the grant, our hold times have been greatly reduced and the number served by each representative has gone up. We had an ask from supervisors at CJFS to help identify better strategies for how they could supervise their remote staff. You're talking about a workforce that's used to supervising folks in the building and is now trying to adjust to remote work. So we were able to identify funding under the grant to support the vast majority of these costs. The Taylor Reach Group was one of the companies that submitted a proposal for this. They were not the lowest priced vendor, but they were the highest qualified vendor. And we used an RFQ because we were specifically seeking an agency that had remote call center training experience, a fairly narrow service. Additionally, we asked that we would be able to keep the training information so that we could use this initial batch of supervisors as folks who could do maybe training and retraining for additional staff. Several of the vendors that responded were either unclear about whether we could continue to use the curriculum afterwards without incurring additional costs, or in the case of Corporate College, one of the local vendors, they were proposing to have a cost for each cohort. So we would pay a fairly high amount, $33,000, I believe, for the one-day cost with that vendor. And then if we wanted to do any retraining, we would have to pay again for that. This $40,000 cost gets us all of the training materials. They don't stay with the vendor, they come to us. So the vendor will deliver the training, and then we will get the materials to use as our professional development team sees fit in the future.
Okay, any additional questions or comments in this item? Yes, please.
So this is for 3 months?
Correct. We were looking to get the training done in the fourth quarter of this year so that we could utilize that grant funding that dates back to last year.
So is that ongoing right now?
Correct. Because it has the October 1 start date, we actually split it into, I think, 4 different phases: a discovery phase, a design phase, an implementation phase, and then a feedback gathering phase. So right now, the vendor's working on that discovery piece, where they're asking questions of CJFS staff to kind of identify what the training needs to accomplish. Then they'll design the training, deliver it probably during November and December, and then in that latter part of the year, do the gathering feedback phase.
And did I hear you say that we then will take it from there, from what we've learned, all the materials stay with us?
Correct. None of this is proprietary for the vendor. It'll all stay with Cuyahoga County. So if we elect to use the curriculum to retrain, we can do that at no cost.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions in this item? Seeing none, then I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Sure. Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Okay, moving on to exemptions, item BC 2021-574, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in award recommendations to CLX ES Incorporated in the total amount not to exceed $177,900 for maintenance and support services for the period January 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2023, in the amount not to exceed $130,000 for the fixed automated license plate reader system, and in the amount not to exceed $47,900 for the mobile automated license plate reader system.
Thank you. Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. And you'll recall that the license plate reader system has 3 parts. There's the mobile LPR that was purchased back in 2012. There was the fixed LPR, which is what's at the intersections, and that was phase 1 was installed in 2018, and then phase 2 was installed in 2020. All 3 systems were procured directly from CLX. The maintenance and support for the mobile LPR and the phase 1 end this year, while the maintenance and support of phase 2 ends November 30th, 2023. What we're requesting to do is to extend the maintenance and support for the mobile and the phase 1 to coincide with the end date of the support for phase 2, and that it's our intent to go out to bid late 2022-23 for the maintenance and support for the entire system.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Are there questions from the board on this item? Please, yes.
Just for clarification, this is not an extension of a contract, right?
No, we're going to be doing new contracts, but the coverage will be extended.
Okay, and the coverage is extended under a new agreement?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any final questions in this item? Seeing none, then I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to today's consent agenda.
Yes, moving on to consent agenda items number BC 2021-575 through 577.
I know there's only a couple items today, so if anyone has a question on these items, feel free to let me know. Okay, do we have any questions? Seeing none, then I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as noted. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Today's consent agenda items are approved. Moving on to other business.
We have one time-sensitive mission-critical item, item BC 2021-578, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, recommending an award on a purchase order to J-Star Homes 2 Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $24,999.99 for out-of-home care services for the period August 25th, 2021 through November 25th, 2021.
Good morning. Paul Porter, Health and Human Services, on behalf of the Division of Children and Family Services. This is a mission-critical purchase order with J-Star Homes, a vendor in Garfield Heights, to deliver services to 4 children that came to DCFS in need of emergency placement going back to August 25th. We do anticipate adding this vendor by amendment to the current master agreement because we anticipate that the costs may go higher than this mission-critical purchase order, but this will allow us to pay most of the invoices so far. And then this vendor did submit a proposal for the new contract that begins January 1 of next year. So we do anticipate having them in that contract moving forward. This is a newer vendor who has not been part of the master agreement before, but we became aware of them when they submitted a proposal earlier in the summer. And that's when DCFS reached out to them about these difficult-to-place children to see if they would take them on a mission-critical basis.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Are there questions on this item from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve today's time-sensitive item. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on again to any, no other items, so public comment?
No public comment?
No public comment. At this time, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Wow, we had everybody. I thought I heard
Yeah,
Mr. Councilman Miller, seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.